Kentucky State Representative, his name is Danny Bentley. Danny Bentley. There you see him there. He's been forced to apologize after he took to the floor and they were discussing some of these medical induced abortion processes. And as a Republican, he's against it, obviously. But he first wanted to point out that this particular drug or this particular medication that they're discussing, which is called RU-486 or mifepristone, whether or not Jewish folks would be wanting to take it because they're just Jewish. Let's go into what he said first, who developed this particular medication. Watch.
There have been a few misconceptions. Have been spoken on this floor today. And I would like to give people more information so they can make a better decision. RU-486 was developed from the Germans during the war. It was a cyanide, and it was called Zyklon B. In fact, the person who developed was a Jew, since we brought up the Hebrew family today.
The person who developed was a Jew. The way he likes to say it. Rick and I've mentioned the way that folks
left a few more W's on the teleprompter there, huh, Jay?
Yeah, there's certain ways that people. We'll get that in a second, but that's not all. That's not all that Bentley had to say, because not only that, he also was talking about the way Jewish women deal with sex. Watch.
Do you know that a Jewish woman has less cancer of the cervix than any other race in this country or this world? And why is that? Because the Jewish women only have one sex partner. That's the reason. They only have multiple sex partners. So to say that the Jewish people approve of this drug now is wrong. Any good farmer in here knows that you don't cut down a cherry tree and feed it to your cattle. How come? It's full of cyanide. So that's the same thing this cyanide gas was used for, which killed millions of Jews during the Holocaust. That's where RU-486 started. Then the same company today at this very time has got chemistry and chemists trying to develop a more effective product like RU-486. Why would they do that?
Oh my God, there's so many layers here. So first off, Jewish women only have sex with one person, so they have a far less chance for cervical cancer, number one, BS. But also, which we'll discuss in a second, but also apparently a Jewish person developed this in a different form as cyanide back during Hitler's time to kill more Jewish folks. And now they're redeveloping it again. And for what reason, Bentley? Is another conspiracy to kill more Jewish folks? I'm not sure if that's what he's getting at. He's kind of dancing around what he's really trying to say. That's why I always wonder if people finish the thought. What is it you're trying to say? They're trying to make some more money off it. What is it that you're trying to say here? And they actually don't care about people's lives. All that is surroundings. But just to debunk one of these things here, first of all, because there's Senator Karen Berg. She didn't get an opportunity to refute what he was saying right then and there. But afterwards, she did say this. While the person who developed RU-486 was Jewish, she noted that this occurred in the 1980s. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but the 1980s was not when Adolf Hitler was in power and he was it triggered World War II. Now, the first clinical trials on this drug has nothing to do with World War II and has nothing to do with the Holocaust, is what Berg continued on by saying that the developer was indeed of Jewish descent. What difference does that make? And why is it that was brought up on the floor by Bentley? So before we get to what the response was from the Jewish community and Jewish community relations councils about the pushback on this and his apology, first, Rick, let's get some thoughts, man.
Let's go to the local Jew, shall we? Okay, so here's my take on this. What's his name? Bentley? Danny Bentley?
Danny Bentley.
Yeah, he is wrong on so many levels, but I expect nothing less from Colonel Sanders' dumb cousin. So on top of all of this, he goes after like the wrong period of time, as you went over. My take is there is a serious anti-Semitism problem in the GOP. This continues to happen over and over and over again. Here's just a few. Sharing Holocaust denier videos that said Jews are at the heart to destroy Europe. They attend Nick Fuentes, who's a Holocaust denier, his conference. They're heavy into Q. Their whole thing is peddling in anti-Semitism. They're pictured with neo-Nazis. That happens more times than not. They claim Israel assassinated JFK. That's wrong. That's just one congresswoman, by the way. Trump shared a Jewish star meme with a pile of cash. Kind of wrong there. Said Jews are part of a global power structure. Kevin McCarthy tweeted 3 Jewish billionaires were trying to buy the midterms. Kind of a problem there. And that was after a bomb was sent to George Soros's house. Whoops. Steve Scalise attended a white nationalist rally that was founded by none other than maybe the biggest anti-Semite. His name is David Duke. Another one, Matt Gaetz invited a Holocaust denier. They enabled Steve King for years. As I see it, this is just modern day republicanism, being so wrong about Jewish people on so many different levels.
Well, this is the thing. I feel like it's gotten to the point now when it comes to the folks like the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the Paul Gosars and all these other folks, which we'll get to some more about the anti-Semitism within the party in a bit in this show. That's become a badge of honor. That's the identity politics now. Like, no, I hate as many people as possible. I'm gonna stretch it further and I'm gonna say it openly and honestly because that'll get the support from Donald Trump. We still know who they're answering back to. That's just the process of the party. But once things like this are called out, people like Danny Bentley, let's jump down to his apology here, you guys. It's the third graphic here. Once he did get some pushback from community over this, he did say, I meant absolutely no harm in my comments today and sincerely apologize for any that they caused. Last week, we received a heartbreakingly sad reminder that anti-Semitism still exists in our society. And I apologize if my comments today caused similar pain or any doubt that I stand with the Jewish community against hatred. My intention was to speak as a pharmacist to the history of RU 486 and respond to a proposed amendment. I clearly should have been more sensitive with my comments, or maybe more accurate, maybe. Just saying.
May I, like, hearing that apology, it's like, okay, we welcome the apology, but you really just showed like how unintelligible you are. Like, that's all that I'm taking away from this. All these apologies from Republicans who peddle in anti-Semitism, I take with like a grain of salt, as everyone should. Because as you said, this is the badge of honor, or literally when you see folks like MTG and others, when they compare vaccine mandates to the Holocaust. Let me just make a quick PSA, okay? As someone who comes from a military family, both of my grandfathers, who unfortunately passed, both served in World War II. They saw some stuff that cannot be repeated, okay? And just a quick piece of advice. As a person who is Jewish, you wouldn't be invited to my bar mitzvah, number one. There would be too much controversy. Number two, don't call Jewish people Jew. Like, it just sounds so bad and wrong. Just say Jewish people. Because when you hear Danny Benton say it was developed by a Jew, it's like, yeah, it's like it really hits hard. Secondly, don't, and these are very simple things. Don't make a comparison to the Holocaust, period. There is literally no comparison ever. They're separate things. Like, don't insert something about the Holocaust into a conspiracy theory that's not even true by saying Jewish people developed a pill so they could make money, like during the Holocaust. Same. Like, I don't know, Jayar, can you just help me out here a little bit? Like, was Hitler like, hey, I'm gonna send you to the gas chambers, but first, can I put you in a lab that I'm going to set up with, what was the name of that buzz? Come on, help me out here. What was the name of that tube that they had in science class? Beacon? Oh,
the beaker?
Bunsen burners.
Yeah, the Bunsen burners.
I'm gonna set you up with Bunsen burners and I'm gonna give you goggles and everything. Develop this and then I'll kill you. Like, just stop. Just
it doesn't make sense. No, it's why boogeymen get created so that all you do is mention it or mention the Holocaust and be like, this is comparable to the Holocaust. The one time that we actually care about the Holocaust is when we use it to say that our political opponents now are utilizing it, even if it doesn't make any sense.